English learners! Welcome back to Shadowing and Listening English, the place where you don't just listen to English, you live it through real-life conversations. I'm Alice.
And I'm David.
Don't rush. Don't be afraid of mistakes, because every small step you take today brings you closer to fluency tomorrow.
That's right. This isn't your typical English lesson. No boring grammar, no complicated rules, just real conversations, real emotions, and real English you can actually use. I'm looking at the world through the lens of logic, data, and human patterns.
I'm here to remind you that humans are anything but logical, especially when it comes to the heart. Today, we're tackling a topic that is probably responsible for 90% of the world's songs, poems, and, let's be honest, expensive therapy sessions.
You're not wrong. Today's big question, love and attraction, are they the same? Or more accurately, why do we constantly sabotage our happiness by confusing the two?
It's that lightning bolt moment, David. You're at a crowded coffee shop, you see someone, and suddenly your brain is playing a slow-motion montage of your future life together. Is that love? Or is that just your hormones screaming for attention?
Most likely the latter, but the line is incredibly blurry. Today, we're going to peel back the layers. We'll look at the brain chemistry, the psychological traps like limerence, and how to tell if you're building a lasting foundation or just chasing a beautiful ghost. Let's start with the spark. In science, we call this the attraction phase. Alice, what does a spark feel like to you?
It feels like electricity. It's that physical pull where you feel hyper aware of the other person's presence. Your palms might get sweaty, your heart races. It's basically an anxiety attack that we've marketed as romance.
That's actually a brilliant way to put it. Biologically, your body is under stress. When you're attracted to someone, your brain floods your system with dopamine and norepinephrine. This is the same neural pathway as addiction. You are literally high on that person.
So when people say, I'm addicted to you, they aren't just being poetic or dramatic?
Not at all. It's a chemical reality. And there's a third player, cortisol. It's the stress hormone. It's why you feel butterflies. Your body is in a state of fight or flight because this new person represents a massive potential change or threat to your status quo.
But here's the problem, David. Because it feels so intense, we assume it's deep. We think intensity equals intimacy. But attraction is often skin deep. It's based on what we see and what we imagine.
Exactly. It's the halo effect. We see someone attractive and our brain lazily assumes they are also kind, funny, and stable. We aren't falling in love with them, we're falling in love with a projection.
We have to talk about limerence. I remember a listener emailed us last week saying they've been in love with a coworker for 6 months, but they've never even had a full conversation.
That is the textbook definition of limerence. It's a state of mind where you are obsessed with the idea of someone and the desperate need for them to reciprocate. It's not love because it doesn't require the other person to actually participate in the reality of your life.
It's a lonely game. In limerence, you analyze every tiny detail. He looked at me for 3 seconds today. That must mean he's thinking about our future. It's an emotional roller coaster where the highs are ecstatic and the lows are devastating.
And that's the danger. People stay in toxic relationships because they are addicted to those limerent highs. They confuse the drama with passion. Real love, on the other hand, is surprisingly quiet.
If attraction is the storm, love is the harbor.
I love that. While attraction is driven by dopamine, excitement, love is driven by oxytocin and vasopressin. These are the bonding hormones. They don't make you feel high, they make you feel safe.
Safe is a word that young people often find boring. We're taught by movies that love should be a constant fireworks show. But you can't live in a fireworks show, David. You'll get burned.
Real love is a choice. It's what happens when the dopamine levels return to normal, which usually happens between 6 to 18 months into a relationship. That's the critical zone. When the chemical mask falls off and you see the person's flaws, do you still want to be there?
That's the transition from passion to compassion. Love is knowing someone's worst habits, their messy room, their bad moods, and saying, yeah, I'm still in.
Let's get a bit academic. Have you heard of Robert Sternberg's triangular theory of love?
Refresh my memory. It involves 3 points, right?
Yes. Intimacy, passion, and commitment. 1 is the passion, the physical and emotional drive. 2 is the intimacy, the closeness, sharing secrets and vulnerability. 3 is the commitment, the decision to stay through the unsexy parts.
So if you only have passion, you have infatuation. If you only have intimacy, you just have a very good friend.
Exactly. And if you have all 3, you have consummate love. The problem in modern dating is that we prioritize passion so much that we forget to check if the other 2 pillars even exist.
David, do you think you can grow to be attracted to someone you weren't interested in initially?
Absolutely. There's the slow burn effect. Sometimes the more you know someone's character, their intelligence, their kindness, the more your brain begins to perceive them as physically attractive.
I've experienced that. I once had a friend who I thought was totally plain, but after seeing his passion for his work and his kindness, he suddenly became the most handsome man in the room to me.
That's because your brain switched from aesthetic processing to emotional processing. That kind of attraction is actually much stronger because it's rooted in reality, not fantasy.
Let's give our listeners some homework. How do they test their current feelings?
Ask yourself the boredom test. If you and this person were trapped in a room with no phones, no alcohol, and no physical intimacy for 48 hours, would you enjoy the conversation?
That's a tough one. I also suggest the flaw test. Name 3 things that annoy you about them. If you can't name any, you're not in love. You're just heavily under the influence of dopamine. You're in the attraction fog.
And finally, check your self-identity. In attraction, you often change yourself to please them. In love, you feel more like your true self than ever before.
We've covered a lot today. We've dismantled the spark, explored the anchor, and warned against the fog.
At the end of the day, attraction is the marketing for the relationship, but love is the product. You need a bit of both for a successful business, but the product is what keeps you alive in the long run.
Don't be afraid of the spark, but don't worship it either. Look for the person who feels like home, not just a vacation.
Well said, Alice. That's all for today's episode. Thank you for diving deep with us.
Subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and tell us, was your current partner a lightning bolt or a slow burn?
We'll see you next time. Stay curious.
And stay kind to your hearts. Bye!